is going to be such a fun game.
What is so fun about it?
Oh, it's just going to be a ball.
I'm blindfolded and you tell me it's fun? I can't see a thing.
You just upset because you can't look at all the colors behind the waterfall.
Actually, yes I am, but I can smell the wonderful water.
Yeah? Can you smell Brightleaf's flowers over there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's time for the game, Mr. Scott. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hold both hands out.
I don't know about that.
Oh, trust me. Come on.
Okay.
Okay, now, you got to put this in your hand and just have a ball and tell me, what is that?
A microwave.
A what?
Did I get it right?
A microwave?
Yeah, you know, radar range.
That's not a microwave, Mr. Scott.
It's not a microwave?
It's not a microwave.
I can't believe I missed it.
I'll give you one more try. I got a couple of things over here I brought with me today. Hold your hands out, Mr. Scott. Higher, Mr. Scott. Okay, tell me, what is that?
It's long.
He'll never guess, word bird.
Oh, it's got points on it.
Yeah, he'll never guess.
Oh, I figured it out. I know exactly what it is.
Well, what is it?
It's the hair pick Miss Jerry gave you to pick out your hair.
Mr. Scott!
You know, she's your hairdresser.
Give me that. That's not for my hair.
It feels like it.
Oh, Mr. Scott. I got one more thing that I found. I put it behind this rock earlier so you couldn't see it. And, hold your hands out, Mr. Scott. A little bit lower. Little bit lower. Little bit lower.
All right now.
Well, you know, it might be too heavy for me to lift.
Oh, really? It's
bit,
heavy?
Little bit lower.
Oh, this is not that heavy.
What is it, Mr. Scott?
It's long. It's got wood on it. Could it be a living room sofa?
Hello. No, Mr. Scott. Take off the blindfold.
Oh, can I take it off now?
Please take off the blindfold. The game is over.
Wow. Oh, it's so pretty in here.
Yes, it is, Mr. Scott.
Is that what I had?
That's what you had.
A rat trap.
A rat trap.
That was not very nice. That was mean.
Miss Vickie.
What, word bird?
That was mean. But
What?
you know what?
What, word
Satan is even meaner.
Even meaner?
That's right. Satan's terrible.
He is meaner, isn't he, word bird?
Mm-hmm.
You mean the devil would
Yes.
set a trap for somebody?
Oh, he does that all the time. You see, the Word of God says that the devil of this world has blinded the minds of the unbeliever. Now, I want you to do something with me, both of you.
Okay, we will.
All right, I want you to hold up both your hands.
Well, let me put that trap down.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a good idea.
All right, both my hands.
Yes. Now, hold up 4 fingers on both hands.
Okay.
Now, put them over both your eyes.
Now it's both of our turns.
That's right. You see, the Word of God says in 2 Corinthians 4:4.
4.
The devil of this world has blinded the minds of unbelievers so they cannot see the light of the gospel.
Blinded them?
Blinded them?
them. That's right. You see, the Word of God said, you can take your hands
Oh,
down.
thank you very much.
Can you see now?
We can see better now.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
You know, when you're not blinded, you can see much, much, much clearly.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Now, over at the Word window.
Oh, I know where that is.
I do too.
Right over here to my left.
That's that book that I'm kind of allergic to.
You know, the neatest thing about the Word window is that every Sunday it changes. There's a new scripture every Sunday.
Isn't that awesome? But when I say this one, word bird, something doesn't happen to my eyes, something happens to my nose.
Oh.
It's in the book of
Oh.
Asnesians?
Bless you.
Asnesians.
I didn't know there was an Asnesians.
Well, there is when I say it.
Oh.
Go ahead, word bird, read it to us.
No, it's not Asnesians.
He can read.
It's Ephesians.
Ephesians.
Now let's say it together.
Okay.
Ephesians 5:8.
Ephesians 5:8.
For you were sometimes darkness,
For you were sometimes darkness,
but now you are light in the Lord.
but now you are light in the Lord.
Walk as children of light.
Walk
as children of light. I
Yes.
think we see what you're trying to say, word bird. Do you hear something?
I do.
Don't stumble down the road of darkness. Walk in the light of the Lord. Don't tumble into a big mess. Walk in the light of the Lord. Not to the left or to
That was neat.
That was a word window to tell us to walk in the
the
light
light
of the Lord. And the
Yes.
truth trunk always has awesome things inside of it to teach us God's word. Wait, Mr. Scott. Somebody's been in here.
I wonder who.
Ooh, it's ugly. Word bird, there's a big black bag hiding the truth trunk.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
Ooh,
It's a big black bag of darkness.
yuck. You hold that side.
Ugh.
Let's.
It kind of smells.
Yeah, it
I
does.
can-
I
it's
wonder
dank.
what's inside of it. Ooh, ooh. It looks like a bag of maybe beer or wine or something.
Or liquor.
Yeah, look.
You know what, Miss Vickie?
What, Mr. Scott?
I wouldn't want to drink anything that smelled like that.
I'm not sneezing now. I'm coughing.
And certainly I wouldn't want to have to drink something that I had to put in a bag.
Me either. And hide in darkness.
Oh
Ugh.
my goodness.
I don't like that. Stick
And you
it
know
back
what,
in
Miss
there.
Vickie? The Bible says that whatever's done in darkness will be revealed in the light.
That's right. Just like when we opened that bag, light went inside, didn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Let's look in. Oh no, Mr. Scott. You know what? This reminds me of a friend of mine. And he didn't have a crook hand like that, and he's not a fisherman, but it reminds me of a good friend of mine who tried crack cocaine one time. And you know what happened to him? He got hooked on drugs.
Oh my goodness.
And boy, that stuff costs a lot of money. And you know what he did after he got hooked on drugs?
What did he do?
He started stealing stuff, even out of his mommy's pocket, to be able to pay for his drugs.
That's so
That's-
sad.
It is sad,
Oh.
isn't it, Word Bird? He needed a word that would give him light. I don't want to get hooked on drugs, do you?
No, I don't.
Oh, wait a minute. What about this?
Oh gosh.
What is it, Mr. Scott?
It's a giant cigar.
Yuck. Well, wait a minute. What about little cigarettes? Are those good for people to smoke?
Oh no.
Ooh, no.
They turn their teeth brown
And make their breath stink.
and cause yucky stuff to get in their lungs.
You know what I heard one time?
What?
I heard that smoking cigarettes wouldn't send you to, but that sure made you smell like you'd been there. Pew!
Yes, it sure does,
All
doesn't
that
it?
smoke and fire and. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see.
You mean there's still more junk
There's
in there?
there's something here, Mr. Scott. You better help me pull this.
A red rope.
A red robe. Well, you know what, Mr. Scott? Sometimes you're not really sure if you're in light or if you're in dark.
And there's this pulling.
Yeah, like goods pulling you one way, and I did the mouse trap. I guess I'll have to be the bad side. So the bad will pull you this way, and then the good will pull you that way.
Yeah.
And then the bad will pull you this way, and then. Wait a minute, you're bigger than I am. That's not real fair, Mr.
And you know what happens, Miss Vickie?
What, Mr. Scott?
There's a war inside of your spirit. That's the part that's inside of you.
You're right. Tug of war. Inside. Left and right and left and right all the time. Pulling and pulling. Mr. Scott, you're doing it again. Mr. Scott, now I'll pull you this way and evil, and then you can pull. Did you fall in the water at the bottom of the waterfall? They must have. I wonder what else is inside this bag. I thought I saw something kind of shiny. I did. It's one black glove. Okay, I'll put on one black glove, okay? I want to see what's in the truth trunk to tell me the difference between darkness and light. How to walk in the light of the Lord. After all that darkness, I could... Uh-oh. Something is inside of my Bible. It's not a sandwich. Wait a minute. One white glove is inside my Bible. What's a white glove doing inside my Bible?
Does it fit you?
It fits me, Word Bird. Huh.
vice, another's virtue, vows device. Ogres and angels share my heart. Sometimes the battle tears me apart. I am shadow, I am light. I am wrong and I am right. Sometimes shining oh so bright. Sometimes fading into night. Though you see this war in me, you know all that I can be. I am precious in your sight. You walk with me through shadow and light. I am wise, I am a fool, a servant with a yonder rule. Good intentions and selfish schemes, a saint who soars on broken wings. Noble visions and narrow eyes, contradictions side by side. Others and angels share my heart. Sometimes the battle tears me apart. I am shadow, I am light. I am wrong and I am right. Sometimes shining oh so bright. Sometimes fading into night. Though you see this war in me, you know all that I can be. I am precious in your sight. You walk with me through shadow and light. There's a war that rages inside of me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Only you can save me from myself. I am shadow, I am light. I am wrong and I am right. Sometimes shining oh so bright. Sometimes fading into night. Though you see this war in me, you know all that I can be. I am precious in your sight. You walk with me through shadow and light. I am shadow, I am light. I am wrong and I am right. Sometimes shining oh so bright. Sometimes fading into night. Though you see this war in me, you know all that I can be. I am precious in your sight. You walk with me through shadow and light. Go with me through shadow and light. I am shadow, I am light. You walk with me through shadow and light. I am shadow, I am light.
See through the darkest night.
I am shadow, I am light. I'm shadow, I'm shadow, I'm shadow and light. I am shadow, I am light. Go with me through shadow and light. I am shadow, I am light.
You know, Father, it is like a big war just going on inside of us every day. I want to do the things that are right, and then sometimes things just come and just rip my heart, and I'm doing what I don't want to do, Father. Boy, I'm so glad your word tells me. Oh, hi. Oh, boy, you look a mess.
I'm glad you're talking to him.
Well, I am, Mr. Scott.
Miss Vickie,
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Scott. Will you...
that war that's going on in you,
Please forgive me, Lord, for letting go of that rope, making a mess out of Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott?
do you see what happened to me?
Oh!
Trees.
Oh!
There were hard bushes in
Yeah.
the bottom of that cliff that you let me fall off of.
I'm sorry, Mr. Scott. Yeah, well, there was a little war kind of waging inside. I mean, I saw you leaning all the way back with that rope, and I knew I was fixing to slide. I don't know what came over me.
You just better be glad that I walk in forgiveness, Miss Vickie, because I forgave you at the bottom of the hill.
Oh, boy, I really am glad that you did. You know, things just... Let me show you. Let me show you something, Mr. Scott. two dots here, and I want you to tell me which one of these two dots do you really think is the biggest dot?
Well, let's see. I'm very good at tests.
I'm glad you forgave me.
I sure did. I think this one is the biggest dot, Miss Vickie.
It looks like the biggest dot, Mr. Scott. But you hold this one, and let me show you
I'm sure I'm right.
that they are exactly the same size.
The same size.
The same size.
How does that work?
Well, it works like this. Because this board is smaller, it looks like it's bigger. In fact, it looks like it's the best one, doesn't it? But because that board is much, much bigger, you see what happened is it kind of swallowed it up and made it look kind of small, didn't it?
Oh, it was another trick.
Another trick.
Oh.
In other words, Mr. Scott, what I'm trying to say is just because things in the world look really good and really like a good opportunity, and you're going to make some money off of it, or you're going to have a good business success, or maybe somebody offers you the whole world, it's not always the best. And it's not always the biggest, and it's usually not God.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, we have to walk as children of light because things in the world are just so full of darkness. You know what happens?
What happens, Miss Vickie?
We go by our eyes, Mr. Scott, instead of letting our conscience, the Holy Spirit inside of us, our conscience be our guide.
I don't know why I don't feel right when I act rude and impolite. I don't know why I feel so bad for disobeying Mom and Dad. Why do I know I'm off the track whenever I start talking back? Why do I know I'm out of line for taking something that's not mine? It's your conscience, that little voice inside of you. It's your conscience saying what you want to do. If I go somewhere I don't belong, somehow I always know I'm wrong. And long before I ever try, I know it's wrong to tell a lie. It's your conscience, that little voice inside of you. It's your conscience saying what you ought to do. It's your conscience, that little voice inside of you. It's your conscience saying what you ought to do. Good or bad, wrong or right, talking to me day and night. What to do, which way to go, down deep inside I know. 'Cause it's your conscience, that little voice inside of you. It's your conscience saying what you want to do. It's your conscience, that little voice inside of you. It's your conscience saying what you want to do.
Well, you never know what the Rockettes are going to come out and sing. I would have never guessed they knew a song about our conscience
I
being our
wouldn't have
guide.
either.
I wouldn't either. But the Holy Spirit is living inside of us, and He's our teacher, and He leads and guides us into all truth and teaches us beautiful things.
Beautiful things?
Speaking of beautiful things, I knew Brightly would be here today.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Brightly.
Did you hear us talking about dark and light, and you showed up?
I sure did. Can you see that I had a bump with misfortune?
No.
One of my antlers is out of place. I was trying to fly in the dark,
Yeah?
and I bumped into a tree. Could you help me, Mr. Scott? Could you fix it for
I
me?
think so. Be careful.
It was a tree and not a person falling down the waterfall, wasn't it,
Is
Brightly?
that better, Brightly?
I I'm sure that is better. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Okay.
Oh boy, I just knew
They're
Brightly
kinda
brought
crossed,
something.
Mr. Scott, can you fix them so they're apart? I get my messages crossed up that way.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
Yes, that's much better. Thank
I have
you.
some friends that get their messages crossed up too.
Mr. Scott, I knew it. I knew exactly why those antlers got out of whack. It's because Brightly was flying here with a story just for us.
Oh, wow.
Are you going to tell the story today, Brightly?
Yes,
I'm going to
yes.
sit right here. I want to hear this story.
Okay, Mr.
Oh,
Scott.
boy.
This is a story about when the devil set a trap for King David.
A trap, Brightly?
He sure did. You see, the devil planted a thought in King David's mind and said, King David, he said, I think that I should number the fighting men of Israel to see how big my army is. That was the devil giving King David that thought. But King David thought it was such a good idea, he thought it was his own thought.
Oh, no.
Right. Woo. So what King David did is he called for Joab, one of his chief warriors, and he said, Joab, I want you to go and number all the fighting men of Israel. And Joab said, but King David, that would be a sin for you to do that, because it's written in the book of the law that the king shouldn't do such a thing, that it would cause harm to come in the whole country if the king sins like that. You see, do you know why, Mr. Scott?
Why, Brightly?
Because God wants the king to trust in him for all of his plans and all of his strength. If King David trusted just in his fighting men, it means that he wouldn't be trusting in God.
Oh, wow. And God even sent a messenger to warn him.
He did.
And he didn't listen.
He didn't listen. And Joab tried to talk David out of it, but David said, my word will prevail. You go and do what I say.
Oh.
Woo. And you see what happened, Mr. Scott? King David fell right into Satan's trap.
Oh, my.
He got caught.
Ooh.
And because he did, and he did it willingly, even though being warned, God sent a prophet named Gad. And Gad came to David and said this, said, David, you've sinned by doing this thing against God's word. He said, the Lord says that you should choose a punishment, either 3 years of famine, where there's not enough food to eat in your land, or 3 months of the enemy coming through your land and destroying, or 3 days of pestilence, sickness, and disease taking away lives in the land.
Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that awful?
That is terrible.
So David didn't know what to do, so he said, I put the decision into the hands of the Lord. And the prophet Gad, he went away and went back to the Lord. Woo-hoo. And it came about that the Lord chose to have 3 days of pestilence, and 70,000 men died in the land from sickness and disease.
Oh.
And King David saw the angel of the Lord standing up above the earth in the middle of heaven with a sword in his hand. And it was there that the Lord said, enough, enough, it's time to stop this destruction. You know what, Mr. Scott?
What's that, Brightly?
David was really happy that finally the destruction stopped, but he was sad too. Woo-hoo. As you can see, he was out of the grasp of Satan because he realized that he had sinned, and he was happy that the destruction stopped. But he also realized that it was time to be very serious and think about what had just happened. You see, he was warned and he was told that he shouldn't do this thing, and he did it anyway, and it caused harm to come on his whole country. It caused the lives of a lot of people.
That was very serious.
It was very serious, and that's why it's so serious for us to listen to what the Lord has to say.
Yes, it is.
That's it, Mr. Scott.
Well, I guess it's the same way with walking in the light of the Word of God. We have to walk in the light. But you know something? I think that some people live in darkness and walk in darkness Maybe you do. I know what we need to do right now. We need to say together, say, God, help me to walk in your light and not in the devil's darkness. If you're in darkness, do this. Just take your hands and hold them up and pretend like you have paper in your hand, just like I do, and do this. Get ready to rip. Walk from darkness into his light. I had a choice a minute ago when we were pulling on that road. I had a choice that I could either keep holding on and slide, or I had a choice I could let go and kind of watch you go sailing down the rocks and into the water.
But you know what, Miss Vickie?
What, Mr. Scott?
I bet the whole time you were pulling that rope and you were thinking about letting go, I bet you the Spirit of God was saying, Vickie, don't let go. Don't let go.
I have a question for Mr. Scott.
What's that word, Bird?
You said that at the bottom of the waterfall you forgave Miss Vickie.
Yes, I did.
But did you forgive her from the bottom of your heart?
Oh. It sure does.
What if I'd have made you walk all around behind the waterfall with that blindfold on? Do you think you might have fallen and gotten hurt in there?